Whereabouts?
And then once that person's
Perfect, right, we'll have a look at Field Service Lightning. How many of you have heard of this tool? How many of you have used it? Oh, so we're going to have some. There is some questions in here, especially for the ones who've used it. So what is FSL? So a little bit about myself. So yes, we are still Blue Wolf, before anyone mentions it. I am the FSL practice lead for Europe. So obviously within my remit, we have all our FSL practices sit in here. We have at the moment several large enterprise projects throughout the world. We've got some small ones, we've got some CBU ones. My background is, I am that old, 25 years. I have worked within field service management, from construction, manufacturing, shop fitting. I transitioned from the wrong side in 2008 and actually came over to the IT side, and I've been working with Salesforce now 7 years. So I'd say we come through. So what is FSL is the final puzzle of Salesforce. So this is all the scheduling, the delivery, and all the operation side of service. So again, this gives you full cost of service, it gives you availability, it gives you tracking, and it gives you efficiencies. People have compared to this to case management. It's really easy. All I have to do is match a work order to a service appointment. So we're going to give it a try. Nice little question for you. We have 3 homes, and we have 3 parcels, and we have 2 members of staff. Each member of staff can deliver 3 parcels in a day. Who delivers them parcels?
Who's available?
Both are available, both have the same skills, both have equal travel rights, both live in the same street. Now, who delivers them parcels to them 3 homes?
Where are the homes?
Doesn't matter, they're on the same street. There's no trick questions. But who do you assign the parcels to? Do you give 3 parcels to that gentleman and leave that lady or gentleman at home doing nothing? Do you give 2 to one and 1 to the other? This is the most simple puzzle in FSL. And as you can see very quickly, we can't solve this. So who said they've done FSL? Go on, you've done FSL. How do you solve this problem? Right. FSL, I have now 77,000 users, 26 countries, 58 locations. But I still can't solve that same problem. How do I scale it? That is where the complexity of FSL comes in. And this is the thing I always start with. It shows you how mature the business is and how mature the service organisation is and their processes. It's all about data maturity, because if the business cannot answer this simple question, how do we put in a system tool? And you can have that one. So personas. So where sits in FSL? We have our customer, we have our service agent, or normally our case handler or call handler. We have our dispatcher, some people call them as schedulers, and then we have our field technicians. Simple, a case will come in from the customer, handle it, someone in the back office will then dispatch all the work, and our team get it nice and simple. So the architecture and the data model. So it basically boils down to a service appointment and a service resource. We have the work that needs to be done, and we have someone to do it.
Schedule? And you have schedule and skills?
Yes. Here we go. Now we're getting to more details. But that is the fundamental. I have something that needs to be done, and I have someone to do it. Stay to the basics, and that is the basics. Then we start getting in complicated. We have the asset. Where do we want to do it? What are we delivering? We have what account is that customer from? And then obviously we also have cases. And on the right hand side, our service resource is our user base. Now we've got added in our service territories and our operating hours. So this now shows us, from a quick idea, from an efficiency point of view, and let's just take the UK, how many territories would be the most optimal amount of territories? Any questions? North, south, north, east, south, west, 4 service territories for optimization?
6.
0. The more territories you put in, the less efficient this tool will become. So if we broke this room into half and said territory 1 and territory 2, we have now just said anyone in this side of the room cannot work here, even though it's only a small distance. So there is better ways of building this tool, and these are the type of things that you have to work with the business, because these are hard-grained into businesses. And again, this is where the tool starts to really expand and work with the business. Yes, you can put them in, but you can't have efficiency and customization at the same time. We have our skills to ensure that the work is going, so very similar to case management, our skills are going to the right person, and our work types. What do we want them to do? We have capacity, because obviously we don't want to overload operative number 1 with all the 3 parcels and leave operative number 2 sat at home doing nothing, being paid, unless he wants to. So what is the object model? So we have a service appointment. We have a scheduling policy. And we have work rules. And we've got objectives. So this is where you start coming into the intelligence of it. So what does that mean? Work rules is which resource can do the job. That's what it basically boils down to. Very simple. And they obviously said this, which resource is the best person on the company KPI. So there's another question for you. We're all here tonight. No one at home, possibly. And I offer you a delivery. And I'll say, do you want it delivered at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock? Because I've offered you a time, your brain is naturally going to pick one of them slots. Even though you are aware no one is at home and it doesn't really care what time. You would have been very happy with after 6 o'clock delivery. So this is around making sure you're not building additional KPIs and additional customer service that the customer doesn't actually want. It's to challenge and to bring that in, and what this tool will allow you to do is have flexibility to change and scope that and deliver different services based on the customer's requirements. So the features and functionalities. So we got our service appointment management. So again, this was allowed us to arrange and track all the customer visits. We can bring the dispatch console through to track all the work orders in to ensure all our customers' needs are met, but on also is on the most efficient way and the best way profitability for the business. It's a very fine balance. I say our resource management to ensure from an optimization and an efficiency point of view that we are using the staff within our business the best way we can. And that doesn't mean working them right to the bone. This could mean ensuring that they get home and they have a good work-life balance to make sure that they're not travelling and spending all their time in the car. It's not just always negatives, there's a lot of positives within this too. And again, we can keep all the way through. So we have our dispatcher console. So this is where we normally would sit as a dispatcher, and then we'll be able to track all our work orders and can see very quickly at a glance what all the fleet are doing at the time. Intelligent optimization. Now this is where FSL becomes the best of breed. What this will actually do is allow you to put all the work orders into the data model, and if we did have a pointer in the top right hand corner, a bit small, it shows you work time, travel time and non-productive time. And by moving the work around from people, this straight away will tell you how much impact that change is putting on the business. And this will allow you to optimize. One of the things that we'll always say is we will have a route of certain calls. Human nature will change that route because I know there's a decent chippy round a certain street, and I will make sure that our delivery gets done around lunchtime because I'll be in that area. Irrelevant of how that will affect the rest of the day, what this will do is straight away was allow them to make them changes, and you can see if people veer from the plan how quickly that has changed. What this will also allow you to do with the optimization is reactive work. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, an emergency job comes in. This will, by default, will be able to then drop this into the Gantt chart and move all the other jobs around to be efficient to allow that reactive job to come in.
Is that Einstein enabled? Is there any AI around that?
It's not Einstein, there is intelligence. It calls back to FSL, like most things from Salesforce, was brought in. There's a tool behind it called Click. That intelligence and that scheduling engine and the years and years of maturity of the tool still call back into Click for this optimization rules. So it's based on, I think they're about 13, 14 years old now, Click. They do large global enterprises, and I say it's best of breed. So that's where, so but there is AI, I wouldn't know what AI is in there, never really seen it. But no, but that gives you, that, again, the fundamentals of where you can bring this tool in. So mobile, most important. So this now fully works, we're having someone now, in both Android and Apple. Like always with Salesforce, it was primarily brought out for Apple first. Android has been 2 releases behind. That has now caught up. The main reason for that, Apple has 1 operating system, Android there's many. As most of you know, it's a lot simple to code on Apple first, on iOS first, than it is to code on Android. So that's where we're coming in. And again, so what this does is the mobile features. So we can bring it in. There is limitations with it, and we do have great partners that work with the ecosystem. There is a gentleman there, Mobile Caddy, who is one of them. Again, that we've worked with to enable additional offline capabilities and additional intelligent forms. But again, this brings all the push notifications and all the information. So it does have offline capabilities. Now this has better offline capabilities than Salesforce 1. So this, the main object within FSL is work order. This will cache every record 1 relationship away from work order. And that will allow fully, truly offline. And when I say offline, we have this working for full shifts, 12-hour shifts, with no internet connection, in the middle of nowhere. All based off the application, off the standard application. The challenge I've got is I've got to put it into 2 countries that don't have internet. And they have asked me when they're getting the on-prem version of Salesforce. But no, so again, as you can see, it brings all this information down to the user and allows the technicians and the engineers and the delivery agents to actually deliver their job with all the information they need, and to remove additional paper and all the information. So again, this can bring in cost assessments, risk assessments, help guides, all off the offline mode. Enough for them to deliver the job. Obviously, online has a lot better experience. So we give our list views. So again, we can bring in all the related lists and list views from Salesforce now into an FSL, which is being this part of the release, which allows, because one of the biggest fears we have, or faults we had previous to this tool, the salesperson has a lot of information. The call center has an awful lot of information. The support people have all the information. The one person who has face-to-face interaction with the customer had nothing. They had to turn up blind to the customer, not knowing why they were there. With this tool, we can give them people all the information they need, so that actually they walk into the customer and can deliver the service that they know they need to deliver, and it carry on that really good experience that the customers had, but at the moment they didn't have. We have our maps, the most important thing. Now what FSL does is use maps in two ways. When it first optimizes the route, it will base this on just general traffic information, distance to distance, and work at the optimization. On the day of the actual event, it will dynamically change all the timings based on live traffic events and reroute and optimize the scheduler based off the live traffic. From a mobile point of view, we can open it in Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Waze. Cool? So obviously the guys from Provar really understand this. Quick actions. Quick actions is a relatively really complex feature within FSL. What this will allow to do is these are all customed. We can bring in here, we can invoke everything from this tool to allow, obviously, create new opportunities. We can bring in here. This allows cross-sell, upsell, but more importantly, one of the benefits we see from this tool is lost revenue. Engineer comes to our house and installs several parts. If it is too complex and too time consuming to list all the parts he's used, quite often he won't do it and he will just put them on the job. For example, a long time ago, I worked for Interserve. We never ever used to book paper onto any of our jobs. Couldn't be bothered. At the end of the year, we actually found out Interserve spent £12.5 million on unaccounted for stationary equipment because we made it so hard for us and time consuming. Again, these equipment, so this is what this is for. One of the things we can put in here is to capture the parts we use, make it really quick and efficient, because at the end of the day, the engineers aren't paid to fill out these forms. They're there to deliver a service. We want to make sure that this is quick and action for them. Knowledge. So again, from an offline point of view, this is doesn't work, but online we have the full knowledge articles. So again, we can bring all the information that, let's take a boiler repair, we can bring in all the fault codes. Straight away the engineer can type in the fault code, bring up the knowledge article for him straight away and help him repair it. It gives him all the information, or her, apologise, all the information he needs to deliver his job without constantly. Now, to give you an idea, on one of the projects I've just finished, the knowledge articles are just short of 750,000 pages per person to print all their procedure knowledge articles off. They no longer have to do that because we can give them all the information that they need to do their jobs through knowledge. Inventory. This will again allow to stock transfer and permanent and transfer what we call from inventory to assets. So if you have a van full of inventory stock, you install it to a property, that then obviously becomes an asset and becomes a product, can be chargeable, or it could just be a reusable asset. Could it be a really expensive piece of equipment that the team are carrying and we need to track it? Slightly old technology now, but we do have full barcode scanner. So again, when they come up to the part, it will allow them to quickly count barcode, scan it all the way. They don't then have to start typing all the information. The work order, the flow, the knowledge article can straight away just come through. Or if it's a delivery company, we can pass that straight through and open up all the work order from a simple scan.
Is that out of the box or is that third party?
Nope, that's all out of the box. Everything so far you have seen is out of the box. I say we can track timesheets, your absence, you're not sick, you don't have to, you can literally, everything within this tool, all out of the box, tracks all the timesheets, removes paper, potentially completely out of the business. And I say, all through push notifications, information, so again the team will see if anything comes in, a case is updated, this can actually push through, customer phones in not being there, the end users will get all here. And again, service reports. Now this is where we start to move away from out of the box into partners and developers. Again, we have service reports that can be pulled. and we can do large questions. Once you get past the 10-20 questions on a service report, the UI and UX starts to, and I'll be honest, is not great. That's where we come to third-party form providers. There's Eureka, Mobile Cat, there's a lot of them out there that we can work with that will plug straight into this tool, will then allow very complex, long procedure forms. I mean, when we say complex, a refinery goes dark, we can now start a refinery or a platform, all from procedures. So this is where we get into the how many of you have used Einstein Vision? So this is actually something Kerry would have seen the other week in Salesforce. How many of you have used photo recognition on Apple phones, Android phones, Facebook? What Einstein Vision will start to do is will allow you to just take a photograph, and that's all you need to do. So we were privileged at Salesforce a couple of weeks ago, working with Charlie Isaac. What they have done with here is literally they can take a photograph of a beach, and without anything else, it will scan the image. It's clean. Was it dirty? If it is dirty, what is on the beach? This again will allow you through learning and code to take this all the way through. We have looked at an accident repair company that will literally photograph a damaged write-off car, and the app straight away will tell them, is it beyond economical repair? Build it, scrap it, just by taking a photograph. Yeah, they've got to train it and you've got to code it, but it's the future, it's there, and obviously it's also intelligent, and this is where we're starting to bring more and more of the vision in. And then Internet of Things. Now, how many of you have used the Coney lift? How many of you ever used Hive? All Salesforce, all RIT. So what we did for Coney is literally a lift or an elevator, depending on the Americans in the room, keep them happy, is that will then literally, the event that starts FSL doesn't have to be a human interaction. It can be from IoT. A part, a service, a car, so Bugatti is here as well. Any event that we can trigger in through an API can then trigger the whole flow of then diagnosing why it's faulted, finding the asset, bringing out the report, sending it to a technician, delivering the service. Again, this is where we can really start pushing the boundaries of where the API and the calls and technology are a lot further than we could. Again, this is today, not tomorrow. We're using this a lot today. We've been built and it's mature. And thank you very much. And I'm sure, there we go, questions are starting already. Come. Yeah, come.
Yeah. So the question is how it can basically accommodate the real-time information, something like weather information, or has there been any collision on the road or something like that to alter the routes or optimize the whole operation?
Yes. So this. So
Same question, please.
The question was, can we obviously use weather or road traffic incidents to re-optimize? The weather one, slightly harder conversation. APIs. We can use, I was going to say the weather channel, but that is an IBM carnival, let's not go there. So your traffic, we can have work rules. One of the things that we said about the scheduling is you can have a work rule. Because we're using live Google Map information, you can write a work rule to say if traffic has a delay of over, say 30 minutes, reroute the optimization. But again, that would then break. So out the box it wouldn't. You would have to write the work rules. So they are in the box. You just got to configure it to. But yeah, the weather channel is API call and SA, but can be done. Cool.
Can you talk a little bit about the movement from managed package to product?
How do you mean by managed product two
Click is a managed package, but slowly, release by release, I think FSL is becoming a...
So the only thing now that is left in FSL that goes back to Click is the call to the optimizer. The Gantt chart, the mobile, all the records are all built natively in FSL and Lightning. That is the only call now to Click SA is the optimize me. Question is, when will that happen? Either Salesforce will develop it, or Mark will get his checkbook out and buy it. but at the moment that is the only call left now. There's nothing left of that tool anymore. Obviously, the development team, still the back end, it's still the same office that I built it. It's the same engineers and the devs. They've just got a different sign above their desk now, but they are still Click. Yeah. Any more questions?
You allocate an engineer to do the job, resources in the market. He goes to complete his job and realizes it can't be done. There could be various outcomes. What is it can't be done, missing parts, for example. So how does you deal with it? Does the job go back into something else, queue or something?
Yeah.
Just comes to the same question. The first slide which you showed two resources and three packages to.
Yeah. Right. So we'll answer that slightly different. So if he can't do the job because he's got missing parts, we have failed on step one in the work rules and the assignments of the work because of assets and through the information. We should have only assigned that job if he had the parts on the vehicle. So that's where we'd counteract that point. Yes, obviously, if it's an unknown job and he doesn't have the parts, he has the facility to suspend the work order. Then that can then raise a case, or it can raise a different record to obviously order that part, or you could do an API call into, say, SAP or Oracle if that's where the stock management is. Again, then we can do another call back in to, say, SAP notifications that the part is now available. That then takes the work order away from what we put the on hold or the jeopardy status to say that's now available. Then it could either reroute it back to the engineer to go back, or you could reroute it back to the service desk for them to contact the customer to rearrange appropriate time again. But that whole managed package would come through quite well, and again, we could start to track what jobs have been scheduled, and then obviously with knowledge or learning to try and ensure stock management or vehicle levels are addressed to help do that in the past. So it's can't stop it once, but it shouldn't happen constantly. Go on, Richard.
So on that question, so does the technician also get awareness of other technicians whose stock matches their requirements? Is that available in the standard gap requirement that?
The technicians do not. The control and service does have that functionality, and one of the things we can route into the work rule into the configuration is, rather than bringing the technician all the way back to a warehouse, it can do van-to-van stock transfers. You can see allocation of stock and then try and reroute it. One of the things we're looking at the moment on one of the projects is they are starting to use night stocks and drop boxes for their parts management. So again, with other part, we're then to start look at what is, again, you might live in one Smith Street, and there's a drop box there, but that might not be the most efficient place to send the parcel. If you're coming from the other side of London, there may be multiple drop boxes that you can actually route past, so you actually send the part to the most efficient. But that's where we start to, when we've looked at automation, I have never really got much past 70% truly automated. It's a fallacy that you'll get to 100%. It's a pipe dream, because like Rob said, we have customers. This is reactive. You're never going to automate everything.
So my question follows quite nicely from that. So it strikes me that FLS is...
That's a new one.
Isn't it? no, XSL.
There you go.
Level security. Is very much like Einstein in that you'll get the most out of it from putting the most in.
Yes.
So I look at that and think, well, it's going to take some setup. So, and you've talked a lot about rules and things that you have to build, and then obviously integrations with other systems.
Yep, I'm listening.
Yep.
Yep.
So my question to you is then, on average,
Yes.
I'm making me dizzy.
Sorry.
On average, how long would it take to set up for an average customer?
There's such things as an average customer.
Well, I know, but that's what I mean by
Okay.
not picking one customer, but picking,
Right.
you know, one takes 5 days, one takes 50 days.
Let's if we went back to this model,
Yeah.
if we started the workshop, and by the way, there is no right or wrong answer to this question. It's based on what does the business want to do. That is and the whole point of this exercise is just to purely find out if everyone in the room said, give him all the work, go to there, conversation's over. So but yeah. So for that model, this model, so have they got service or haven't they got service? So that's again, because again, if they have service, they are used to case management, they'll have assets, they'll have stock. We can deliver this in 8 weeks from start to finish on a greenfield site. I have also... No, that was a greenfield. That is, you've got a really amazing EM though. You have to have an EM far beyond any others. And if anyone hasn't, it is Jody. It's a project that we are just delivering now. I have another project that we are on month 11, still not live. I have another project that I have just picked up this week that is on month 19, and it is still not live. Depends on the business. A lot bigger, different scale. I treat this to very similar to Marketing Cloud. Functionally, it's great, but if the business, it's all about the business. It's the most different. That's why I put it a lot with Marketing Cloud. Sales, everyone knows. Service, most businesses know. Advanced scheduling and advanced marketing, there's a lot of complications in here. So again, it's you have to take it back. But I would always say, never automate more than 50% from the beginning. Don't turn all the bells and whistles on from the day one. The biggest user adoption is the biggest key in here. This is big. This is seen as Big Brother. They want to know where I am every minute of the day. They want to know where I am having my dinner. They want to know everything. That is one of the biggest negatives. The other biggest negative that you have with here is this is replacing human beings. The information and the people you're working with and the people giving you that information have been doing this job for years. They know the team, they know the areas, and it's getting that information from what they know. Me and Jody were with a client not so long ago, a large global client, and we asked them how they do stock management. And their answer was, Bob does it. And we're ruined when Bob goes on holiday. And this is a global company, and it is all based on one person knowing where all their asset is. So that's where it's a very hard one, but it can be delivered in 8 weeks if the business is ready for it. But I say it's about scale, like you're collecting.
Another one for me. Me and Kim worked on a similar requirement about 8 years ago. And one of the challenges was actually at the O2 arena.
There we go.
We had where engineers were deliberately breaking their devices.
Never heard that one before.
No matter how much we ruggedise them, or snapping RFID readers and all sorts of things we have there. Have you experienced the same issues, or have really people, have those engineers now adjusted to having a mobile device and being tracked? Has that changed?
Again, this is the question like to Louise, is on how long does it take? If you're coming from paper-based of nothing, them challenges are still there. Yes, we've seen ruggedized devices that were unbreakable, that they have broke. They literally found the smallest bit to ram a screwdriver down the headphone piece. Most, I would say now, are gone digital. Digital's been around for about 8 years, 9 years now. The industries that have come from one system onto another, they have gone away a lot more. But yeah, there's still a few out there that do see this as a big negative. Funny enough, I've actually put this in for salespeople. They are the worst ones. Because Friday afternoon meetings has now gone. When I worked in IT, the only time we heard about the BES server going down was a Friday. Challenges there. We got time for one more? Yeah. Go on then, sir. No, he's gone. You. One in the front of you.
Okay, similar question to the previous one. How do you ensure that the field agents fill in all the information accurately?
Cool.
So for example, let's say a delivery person can just say left the parcel next door and just steal the parcel.
Okay.
It's a real scenario, that one.
Yeah. Easiest solution. This is not a management tool. That is a management decision. If your staff are not providing the work that you want them to do, it is a management responsibility. This tool will show bad data, it will show that information, but that's where it should stop. Because that, I say, is a human interaction. And this should never ever go any further. We can put validation rules in and stuff like that. We can still do the same bits, but again, you shouldn't build technology to become management. And I always have the argument that every field should be mandatory, because if it's not mandatory, why have you put it in Salesforce? Why are you making someone fill it out if you don't care about it that much to make it mandatory? Let's get rid of it. But yeah, it should be. That's why. One for you, sir. Come. Yeah.
What about the end customer? Do you have a component you can drop on customer community which shows the map your driver has to send more parcels, 2 hours to reach you?
Yes. So this can be fully exposed within the community portal. This can also, now with the out-the-box feature, actually allow the customer to change their appointment times based on available slots. One of our customers, 60% of their calls were customers just changing their appointment time. We can now allow that. We have additional partners. So how many of you seen Glimpse? So, we know Jody has. So what Glimpse will allow you to do is, from a customer's point of view, you get a notification to say that your driver is en route. At that point, it will open up a map on your phone and it will actually track the driver to your house, and you can watch that come through. Obviously, you cannot track any of the information before he says en route, because obviously we don't want to give out other people's home addresses, or for you to, I'm going out, let's go and drive up and find the delivery guy and get the parcel. Yeah, but there is, so out the box it can do that through community, but there is again development and party apps that will really enhance that further. So I think Deliveroo and Just Eat use Glimpse. It's quite a popular tool. Cool. Go on then, Hashi.
What are the biggest sort of pain points, limitations that you see when you're implementing exercise?
Normally the client, when they put a Centre for Excellence team in. Yeah. The biggest pain point that we tend to put in, but as always with most projects, bad data, bad information and bad data. And again, going from a very unstructured process to a very structured process overnight is extremely complicated. And this is where you get into the conversations of, well, I can just do all this in one big Excel sheet and change the whole routine within seconds. But again, you can't have that local flexibility. With a global tool, it's a business call.
So with that in mind then, what's the ratio of changing systems versus changing the business? because you've got to win hearts and minds within the business. And
yeah, so you can put this in to a business without changing the business at all. Out the box, you can do that. What you will not get by doing that is just optimize appointments, add efficiencies, make you more efficient, if you do not start to look at slight changes yourself. You can't just, I say, put an optimization and a perfect route planning if then you allow your the delivery drivers to ignore all that and do it the way they wanted to do. If you wanted just to digitize giving work to from here, yes, we can do that, and we have projects that to bring in adoption are allowing them to literally start from here's your work electronically, you decide which work you want to do and do it. Because from a business point of view, all we care is that them 3 parcels are delivered efficiently.
So you work for one of the biggest partners in the ecosystem at the minute.
Yes.
And it's very much a consultancy-based thing. So how much of that is business process consultancy and advising versus actually just putting the system in?
About 50-50. Because again, like Keir and Richard have said, we've been doing this 8-9 years ago. Half the businesses are coming from a digital tool already.
Yeah.
They're quite straightforward. The others come to us for experience to go, how can we be more efficient? How can we embrace technology? I mean, we've got one client, their customer is the older generation. Now they are realizing that they didn't need technology to service their customer today, but the next batch of retired age people, including myself, are coming now with a bit more tech. Yeah, we always balance age on Snapchat. Above 40, you don't even know how Snapchat works. 30 to 20, you do it, but you don't actually use it. Exactly, you're over 40. They've started to realise that we need to bring in, they're ready for the next generation. It's quite complex.
To add on though to what you said, like we were meeting with a client and it is a lot of business process, because one of the things that Barry went through with them, because they started going, we want to offer 1-hour slots. Well, that's actually not very efficient if you offer 1-hour slots. So kind of going through like, what are your overall business objectives? What are you trying to get to? That's a huge part of the conversation along with change management.
Yeah. But change management and governance is a big part of our process. I think most businesses now are starting to look at change management and governance and COEs or C4Es type. They're looking now of, right, let's not just throw it all in now. Complex API. Instead of just allowing lots of integrations, we can now start of, oh, right, let's pick a tool and start looking at complex API between like Salesforce and SAP. Rather than hundreds of calls, let's make a complex connection that will allow flow traffic through a complex API rather than, as before, like you said, lots. Go on.
What about the fleet management? So you talked about the fleet service. When you have a group of or a fleet of vehicles, how do you manage it with agents as well?
So your fleet management, when you set up your locations, obviously all your warehouses, your offices, and your vehicles are all set up as locations. So we can track, obviously you can't track where they are. There is third-party apps now that will bring in the telematics from fleet management and bring that into FSL. But out of the box, the closest we get really to fleet management is that it's just more of a stock room and a holding area. We have built quite a lot of like a work order, which will say, first job of the day, a couple of questions about how your van is, make you take 4 photographs type of work. But again, that's more customization than fleet management's not great more than locations.
It's more or less an API dependence.
Well, yeah, but we'll say map anything now. I saw the other day have got a full new fleet map, a fleet app that will do telematics, driving, and all that type of thing, and we can start looking at them for you. Cool. Well, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.